these customer reviews. They're fantastic. Okay, Formed by Nature says, yes, such a perfect choice. I can agree the Cellerciser is the best rebounder on the planet. I was at a collaboration event in California on Monday with Cafe Gratitude and medical medium Anthony Williams. They interviewed me because they all wanted to know what I was doing, well, aside from being plant-based and juicing, and I jumped daily on the Cellerciser, and it has transformed my whole body into a beautiful work of art, and I maintain incredible health, mind, and body with the Dave Hall Cellerciser. Oh, that is so sweet. Thank you. Okay, Barbara writes, love, love, love my Cellerciser. I work out with your Mr. Rebounder app. I think it would be great to have one option that is stretching for those of us that prefer to warm up a little. I thank God for your dedication to helping others heal and stay in shape. God bless you. Thank you, Barbara. And we can certainly add some stretching movements going down the road. One of the advantages of Cellercise is that it really offers an automatic stretch for the cell membrane of the tissues as you're moving up and down. So, for example, if you were to stand up and then just try to touch your toes before you get on a Cellerciser, then do your Cellercise routine, and then stretch again, you're going to notice how much more flexible you automatically are. I've often talked to sports teams, and I've suggested that they use a Cellerciser before they stretch, because it warms up the tissue. When you stretch and the muscles and ligaments are tight, you can actually damage or pull muscles. So increasing that circulation, warming up that tissue can be very beneficial. And I say the same thing for people that do Tai Chi or yoga or the martial arts. You're going to create more balance, flexibility, and strength if you Cellercise first so you can get more out of your routine. Vivian writes, I have lost quite a bit of weight doing Libby's fat eradicator workout. As you said, Dave, the Jamba Run is an exercise you love and hate at the same time. Laugh out loud. Thank you, Vivian. And we've got, and that is a great routine. We've also got Brooklyn's weight loss routine. It's on the Mr. Rebounder app as well. And she lost 26 pounds in 2 months. And so that's another great technique. Gabriella writes, I love my Cellerciser. I've had it for 20 plus years, around there. That's 20 plus years. I'm now 52. Oh, you started earlier than I did. I can still run my business and house painting. I still climb all of the ladders, scaffolding, and spend days in boom lifts. My job keeps me in shape, but this is also the best piece of exercise equipment you can invest in. Gabriella, thank you very much for sharing that. Okay, hi Dave. You were kind enough to spend 1/2 hour with my 88-year-old friend last week. Jeanette received her Cellerciser a few days later and has already seen results. Her partner, Jay, suffers with neuropathy and has seen vast improvements already. He wanted me to thank you big time, all capitalized exclamation points. I also have neuropathy and it has helped immensely. But I wanted to share with you that I got COVID on Sunday. I prepared for the worst, as the last time I had it, it lingered for 3 weeks due to asthma. It was not pleasant. So I tested positive on Sunday, and I still use my Cellerciser for 5 minutes on Sunday night, Monday night, and Tuesday. I slept most of the time, which I understand extreme fatigue is the main symptom for this strain of COVID. I feel fine today, 4 days later, and I'm almost at 100%. I really know it's due to the Cellerciser. I've been jumping regularly now for the past few months. I know it made a difference in my recovery, and I had to share that with you. And thank you very much for sharing it. Brooklyn, do we have any questions that have come up? No? Okay, good. All right. Wandela writes, are there specific exercises for negative emotions of fear and anxiety? Absolutely. You know, one of the things about mental fitness, we're going to come to that. Let me answer that in just a few minutes. But Ideas affect the way we think. In fact, hold that thought. We'll come back. Candace writes, what exercise can I do for deltoids? There's a routine in the Mr. Rebounder app. In fact, this is it. It's all on shoulder health and the movements that you can do while you're bouncing to create leverage on those muscles as you also increase flexibility, circulation, and strength in muscles, ligaments, tendons, the whole area of the shoulder. And then we do different movements to improve shoulder flexibility as well while we're bouncing. Because it's the bouncing that's causing the tissue to expand and contract and move fluid, which is unlike typical exercises. Okay, Awakening Digos writes. Oh, Awaken Indigos. Thank you. Right. My question starts with a little story. 3 years ago, I purchased a big trampoline to do flips, since this is what I did when I was a little kid. I'm now 31. And when I first got it, I was so excited that I jumped 4 hours on it. Well, that was 4 hours on a big trampoline. Okay. Well, that was definitely not a good idea, since after a couple of days, basically all my joints started to crack. Keep in mind, when a unit is soft and too soft, that it creates, this is a perfect example, it creates compaction. The body has to have resistance release to get benefits, fitness benefits. If it's too soft, then over time, usually, and he had only been on it 4 hours one day, that's a lot. But if you have weaknesses already and you're moving up and down, the softness of it doesn't cause the cell membrane to get stronger. It just compacts it. And so you get more and more pressure on the joints. And that can lead to knee problems, hip problems, and back problems. From my neck, elbows, hand joints, and especially my knees. After 1 year since this happened, I purchased a Cellerciser, and I have been jumping on it pretty much every day since then. My joint cracking has improved, but it definitely is not fixed. Have you ever heard or experienced this before? Yes, I'm hearing about it more and more as a result too. The Cellerciser is great, and I definitely will continue to jump on it since I see a lot of benefits, both physical and mental ones. But it hasn't really helped a lot with my cracking. Do you have any advice regarding this? Thanks. Yeah, continue to do the baby bounce. If you do the hip rock, you pump the lymph system, and you want to lift your chest high. And that's going to work from the psoas muscle up here, as well as the back and the hips. When you lift up high and you rock side to side, you drop your shoulders. And just, it may look a little funny, but this is going to target those areas, those joints that we want to get more circulation to, because it opens up and flushes, opens and flushes. And that movement activates the lymph system, which as a vacuum helps to pull that circulation between the bones, joints, and tissue spaces of the body. Great technique right there. Twisting and things like that is helpful too, but that one is, I do it every day. It's been really helpful for me too. Does rebounding on Cellercise have any effect on crepey skin? Not that I know of, other than it probably makes your skin stronger. But I don't have any answer to that. I know I damage my skin a lot just laying out in the sun for 8 hours a day, and I got really, really dark. And you can see the skin is, you know, it's not bad for my age, but it's got yeah, it probably has helped, because I know other people my age where it looks pretty bad, but it can help, probably. I think it probably can, because you're putting weight, you're challenging the collagen, you're stimulating circulation, and skin cells are still protein fibers. Can you explain the lymph system a bit and how rebounding helped with lymph fluid movement and how that leads to good health? Thanks. From Rai. And yes, the lymphatic system is a circulatory system that works through your entire body. It starts at the toes, fingertips, other extremities of the body. These lymphatic tubes move their way up to other small lymph vessels toward the lymph nodes, where you have your greatest concentration of white blood cells, and that's where the biggest battles can take place, is in the lymph nodes, because the lymph system holds a negative pressure, so moving up and down creates suction. So as we're moving up and down, millions of one-way valves start sucking. It vacuums out the internal environment of the body, helping to pull in viruses, germs, bacteria, fungus, dead cells, mutant cells, cancerous cells, other foreign invaders. And once it gets to the lymph nodes, the biggest battles take place. Now, that's not to say that white blood cells are not moving through the body, antigens recognizing foreign cells, attaching themselves, sending signals to the white blood cells, or eventually even cytotoxic T cells that have been educated through the thymus, and then they come in and then they inject or destroy cancer cells and other cells. So you have a whole police force working within the body, and the Cellerciser helps to activate it more effectively, because I don't know of anything, frankly, that works better, that has enough resistance to move the fluid. If it's too soft, then it can become more congested. But when there's resistance and then release, it's like a dam holding back water. And if that water starts banging over and over against the dam, pretty soon it can break through. And we notice that on the Cellercise. I think I've talked about it before, when I have somebody who's got a cold or an allergy, and I have them come up on the Cellerciser and start to bounce up and down, and they just get this relief within just a few minutes of them moving up and down. It's breaking up the blockages, opening up the circulation. And it can be very relieving. So yeah, it works its way through small lymph vessels, through the lymph nodes, up through the thoracic duct, your largest lymph vessel, and in through the venous cava area, through the subclavian vein, and then back into the bloodstream. So it kind of makes a circuit. It's cleaning out the body. It's breaking out and getting rid of foreign particulates and matter that we don't need within the body, and utilizing that which it can reuse. Okay, Sunshine writes, I want to learn more about the science behind the prepare for sleep routine. Okay, the prepare for sleep routine, which is great. So when we're on the Cellerciser, nothing yet, huh, Bricky?
I know rebounding is good for the lymphatic, but are there specific exercises for the lymph nodes on the neck and under the arms?
On the neck and underneath the arms, that pumping one right here. This really pumps the lymph system as we move up and down, which is really helpful. The twisting movement's very good for the whole lymph system as well. So any of that movement can help create that suction. Brooklyn, when you get a question, just raise your hand. So I can. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. I don't want to miss anybody. Okay, so the prepare for sleep. Kind of like when we take a baby that's fussy, and we gently bounce the baby up and down, the baby relaxes, and then they often just fall asleep, or we put them over our shoulder. Same principle. We're getting rid of the stress and tension in the body, opening up circulation so the body can relax. So when we're doing the Cellerciser, we're doing the same thing. When we put our fingertips straight down, we gently bounce up and down until we can feel the pressure or the throbbing at the tips of the finger. Then at that point, we can relax the shoulders, back, and buttocks. Just relax everything, don't fall off. But as you're just gently moving up and down, it's quiet, it's peaceful. And then as you're, after a few minutes of the moving up and down, just go directly to bed so that you don't have to toss and turn. Okay, Power writes, I worry about hitting my head on the ceiling. What is the minimum ceiling that one must have? A 6-foot person with an 8-foot ceiling has more than enough room. This is not meant to be a big trampoline where you jump up and down high. That's fun, and it's fun to float and do tricks. The Cellerciser isn't for tricks. It's not for floating. You're floating, the body's not doing anything. It's floating, and it can be fun to float, and trampolines can be fun. On the Cellerciser, the benefit comes within the first 2 to 3 inches into the mat and to the springs, and then just above it. That's where the cells are flexing over 100 times a minute. That's where the lymphatic system is really pumping. So it's concentrated to help create those benefits. Bricky, can you stop that? Thanks. Natalia writes, will you, give me one moment. We have a washing machine that broke upstairs, so we had to come downstairs to use this one. Will you guys be doing a Black Friday special for the Cellerciser? Thanks, Bricky. Yes, we will, but if you want to get it at a better price, do it right now. Next week, the price goes up. Even though we'll have a Black Friday special, we have needed to increase our prices for quite some time, and we haven't done it. So they're going to go up about $100. Now we're going to have a nice special that will bring that down some. But if you know anybody that's been contemplating getting a Cellerciser, it would be best if they can do it right now. If they can't afford it all up front, that's fine. We have a payment program on our website that allows them to put a deposit down and still get the Cellerciser, same as cash. So you can pick Afterpay, PayPal, Shop Pay. There's a number of different programs when you go to pay for a Cellerciser that you can pick one of those payment options, and that lets you carry it out every 2 weeks, or I think PayPal's every month, same as cash. So it helps you drag it out, but then you're locking in the current price. Okay. Beus writes, I just received my first Cellerciser. Yay, I got the trifold with the new streamlined balance bar. There were no extra springs included, though. I saw from the videos on YouTube that there should be replacement springs included. Looking forward to hearing from you. That's come up a lot. We used to include 2 extra springs with every Cellerciser when they went out. In over 30 years, no one in my family, my extended family, my cousins, my nephews, my uncles and aunts, no one has ever broken one of our springs. I have never broken one of our springs. The only thing that breaks a spring are either jumping jacks or jumping high and you land on the spring hard, blunt force. It can fracture it and then it can break. So we were sending out tens of thousands of springs every year. And when COVID hit and this price of steel soared, we just had to stop doing it. And so we do have replacements if you ever need one, but we did stop including extra springs with the unit. Sue writes, I have one foot that is tender in arch and ankle area. Does the Cellerciser improve or aggravate the foot? I want to use my Cellerciser when I do, it seems to make my foot worse. Maybe barefoot rebounding is not good. Any thoughts? Yes, Sue. Cellercise is simply exposing weaknesses that are already there, and I'm sure you knew that. So what we want to do is we want to gently challenge those areas to make them stronger. Now there's a couple things you can do. You can get a foot wrap, ankle wrap, foot wrap, for a little additional support when you start. You can get some water socks. We're going to carry these. I think I told you. They're very, very flexible, so your foot has a little additional cushion or support. But we want the foot to move to support your natural alignment. So you're going to likely feel muscles, bones, ligaments. We've got nearly half of our bones in our foot. And those bones and muscles, ligaments, as they start to move to support your natural alignment, you may feel a little of that. And the tissue is going to stretch. And we've had people with plantar fasciitis who got on the Cellerciser and they said, oh, this hurts. Well, the condition was already there. But within a month, so many of them comment, it's gone. Some of them had it for years and didn't know how to get rid of it. The Cellerciser is causing expansion, contraction, which starts to loosen up the tissue. As the tissue is healing and it becomes more flexible, those weaknesses can just fade away. All right, so yeah, just go gentle. I wouldn't do any jump kick-outs, certainly no high jumping. Gentle movement up and down. The health bounce, of course, this is excellent. This one's great. The twist is fine. And then you can do all the different movements and other exercises, and you're not going to be challenging your foot a lot. But it'll give the foot time to, because you're moving up and down equally on both your right and left side of your body. So the bones foot muscles, hips, back, everything starts to readjust to support your natural alignment. And Cellercise can help with that. All right. The springs may be quiet, but the bar makes so much noise as you run. Anything you can do other than holding the bar when it rattles. That's from Abigail. And yeah, you know, it's going to make some noise. It just is. The reason the bar moves, wiggles, and you can try a little thin, very thin piece of duct tape, very thin, because these are tight joints, and put it in there to help. But we want some movement in the bar, and if you put a little duct tape down below, that will help quiet it. You want to improve your dynamic balance, not just your static balance. And so when you pull the bar toward you, yes, it quiets down, and it's more like a rigid pole. But without even knowing it, as you move up and down and you just have your hand on it, you're challenging your natural balance. You're not as reliant upon the balance bar. But the balance bar is there if you need it. It gives you the ability on specific movements to put more effort into the routine and get faster results. Shauna writes, I slowly worked my way up to 10 minutes. Honey, just a second. Thanks. All right. It says, I slowly worked my way up to 10 minutes on the Cellerciser, starting at 1 minute and adding 1 minute every day. After about 3 days at 10 minutes, I woke up with severely swollen eyes. I wondered if it might be a lymphatic drainage issue and took a break from the rebounder to get things to calm down. Back at baseline, I started rebounding again and the same thing happened. Do I need to open drainage channels before rebounding? Any thoughts for me? Thanks. You may have some blockages in the lymphatic system because with most people, just the opposite occurs. When they build up the fluid in their eyes and they start to move up and down, they start to move that fluid and the puffiness around the eyes go away. So that would be a symptom of another issue. I don't know what that one is, but if the movement up and down isn't helping to open up the circulatory channels, there may be some inflammation or some issues that you might want to look into, because the Cellerciser is known for doing just the opposite. It doesn't build up puffiness in the eyes unless there's some kind of another issue or blockage or congestion that is not allowing that system to circulate as efficiently. It could be a detox. You may need to just drink more water to help flush things out a little more effectively too. But that would be something, if it's an issue, you might want to have it checked to figure out, because it's not as typical at all. All right, Joanne writes, when you do the power breathing, are you inhaling at the top of the mouth and exhaling at the bottom? Yes. As you come up, you breathe in. As you come down, you breathe out. And so that movement looks like this, which I could use right now because I've been on the phone a lot all day today. And it just goes like this, goes. Oh, that feels good. So it opens up the larynx, it opens up the voice, it opens up the breathing, it opens up the bronchial tubes, and yes, it's a power breathing. It's designed to exercise and help flush out mucus and just really open up bronchial tubes. But when you start to do it, you may only do 6 to 10 breaths the first time, because since it is opening up the bronchial tubes, they may be a little sensitive. Mandy writes, what delivery time frame? What's the delivery time frame? Well, if you order it tonight, it'll ship out tomorrow. So depending on what part of the country or world that you live in, you will get a tracking number, and that will tell you how long it's going to take. So Felicia writes, what question will you have a special, quick question, will you have the special sale pricing on Black Friday? And if not, how long will the current sale last? Thank you. Current sale expires this week, any day. They're working on it right now. And then we will we'll still offer a Black Friday special. But the price will be a little higher overall. Is there any way possible that you can do a better detailed video on cleaning the springs? The one on your website is a little bit outdated, and I know it's very simple, but for us with new newbies, it's for some reason still it still squeaks. What am I doing wrong? Am I putting too much 3-in-1? I don't know. Please, if you could do a close video at some point, that would be so helpful. Thank you. So she's talking about how to quiet the Cellerciser down. And that we'll do a new video of it. But just real simple, I open the unit up as if I'm bouncing on it. And then I just pull the mat material back and I put a couple drops of oil on here, on each spring. Couple drops here, couple drops here, couple drops here, couple drops here. And then I get on it and I work my way all the way around. Then I get on it and bounce around. This one, my personal unit, my unit that's over 21 years old, whisper quiet. This is a newer unit. It doesn't have as much oil on it, but I still did. I primed it with oil. And you can hear how quiet it is. They're all built the same. It's all the same materials. And the springs won't stretch out. Okay, so great. I left my notes upstairs. So we're going to do a little ad lib here. All right. Tomorrow's election day. We all know that. And we're watching in our country is being split apart. And you see it all over the media. You see it in families. You see it in how people communicate. One of the things that I've said for years, and I'd like this on my, probably out on my gravestone, is rather than fight against that which is wrong, it's better to promote that which is right. There's a difference in energy. When we fight against something that's wrong, where somebody has one opinion and somebody has another opinion, and when we contend with that opinion, it doesn't draw us closer together. It spreads us further apart. You see the same thing in everything. You see it in the media, you see it even in churches today. You see churches contending with one another over what the right way or the right doctrine is. We are all God's children. All of us are going through this earthly experience, and it troubles me to see contention that creates division, that separates us. So there are things we can do that will separate us because we focus on issues. There are things that unite us because we focus on objectives. When we think in terms of objectives that unite us, family, or the concern that all of us have for family that unites us. When there's a flood, with the recent hurricane, you saw families come together because the objective that united us was greater than the issues that divided us. Why do we have to get to that point? Well, I want to talk a little bit about that. That's going to be part of the mental fitness of what I want to share with you tonight. And every year I share some principles that I've learned to live by. And one of them is contending. When I deal with my staff, the people that work with me, I tell them, when we come together to discuss something or plan something or work on something, the way I see us is that we are all coming together in a round table. There's no head. Not really. We're coming together with all of our talents, all of our abilities, collectively as a whole, around the round table, but we're serving a cause that's in the middle of the table. And it's that cause that unites us. And that's what I'd like to see. So when you vote tomorrow, for example, think in terms of the things that are going to best unite us, that are going to best pull us together, that are going to best serve the interests of family, of freedom, of liberty, of charity, of the things that can pull us together. There is no perfect answer. And I've talked to my daughter about this with regards to churches. There is no perfect church. It doesn't exist. But what is that what we're doing is we're pursuing perfection. If you want to look for problems in a church, any church, you can find them. But when we look for problems, what does that do to our character? Because now we're dealing in issues and we're becoming the kind of person that's going to be more involved with criticism and judgment and frustration and lack of temperance and gossiping, all these negative elements. Is that what we want to do? I don't think most people in the Cellercise family want to do that. But when we come together and instead of focusing on the problems, for example, in a church, we focus on the things that are good that a church offers or that anything offers, and we focus on that which is good. Well, now we're dealing in purpose and love and joy. We're coming together. We're becoming that. I put it another way. When we fight against that which is wrong, we often develop the very character attributes of that which we're fighting against. And you see people that have what they believe are worthwhile, righteous causes, and boy, we're going to... And you see what it does to their personality and their character. And it's the same thing, and I've shared this, when I tell people, are you fighting cancer? Well, stop fighting cancer. And they look at me like, what? What are you talking about? Are you fighting being overweight? Stop fighting being overweight. They're like, what? Or I say, do you have an addiction? Are you fighting an addiction? You know, when we fight against that which is wrong, we empower the very thing we're often fighting against. So I say, rather than fight against that which is wrong, let's promote that which is right. So let's, and you've heard me talk about this. You walk into a dark room, and it's dark. And the darkness represents an issue. Lots of issues out there today. And you're fighting against the issue. Let's say it's cancer. And when you're done fighting, you're fighting. Often, when you're done fighting, the darkness is still there. But the character of the person you have become in the process of fighting against this, as you're dealing in despair and anxiety and frustration and anger and all these negative emotions, and it becomes part of your character. So I tell people, you walk into that same dark room, and I have a point to all this. You walk into that same dark room, and you recognize over here on the wall there is a light switch. It's a dimmer switch for most of us. You hit on the light switch, you begin to turn up the light. What happens to the darkness? We've talked about this. The darkness begins to disappear. You begin to see the obstacles that might have been in the way. You're dealing now in purpose and faith and hope and joy and desire. You're promoting that which is good. You're building up the immune system. You're working on seeing the immune system work more effectively through the body. You're thanking the body for achieving it. You're doing that with a relationship. You're not contending or arguing with whoever it is in a relationship that you're dealing with. You're not doing that because you can't derive something positive by fighting against something negative. Not really. When you do that, you reinforce it, you're dwelling on it, and it's lowering your level of energy and your potential. This is one of the reasons Jesus taught, somebody slaps you on the cheek, turn the other cheek. It wasn't so that we can get beat up. It's so that we didn't enter into the negative. We could transcend it. We could go beyond it. And I've shared it a different way. If you're driving down the road, and I don't know if I shared this last time or not, and you've got your food right next to you on the seat, and because this happened to me once, a car is on your bumper and it's raining, it's hard, you're not going real fast, and he decides to come pulling around you. He pulls back in front of you, hits the brakes, causing you to have to hit your brakes, and then you hydroplane spinning around going into oncoming traffic, and your food ends up all over the floor, and he turns right. Now he could have waited just a moment later and turned right, but he had to zoom around. Okay, you've got it off, you got a choice. We're given these opportunities every single day. You have choices every day. You can get mad and angry and yell at them, scream at them, and think all these negative thoughts. But what does that do to you? Or you could be grateful that no oncoming car hit you, that you're safe. You pray for them, that they will be safe, and hope that they don't create a problem for somebody else, that they recognize what they did. And what does that do to your energy? See, one of them is going to take you down a darker path, one of them is going to raise you to a lighter path. That's what I want us to do. Okay, so we have our mental fitness. And I've often said, in order to have what we have not, okay, we must first become what we are not. As we become what we are not, then what we have not becomes a natural manifestation of the person we've now become in any area of our life. As we become what we are not, then what we have not becomes a natural manifestation of the person we now become. But in order to become what we are not, we must first be able to see ourselves, each other, that which is around us, and that which is within us, not just as we are today, but as we can become tomorrow, which is the way I pray God sees each one of us. The moment we see ourselves not as just we are, but as we can become in our family, in our home, as a father, a mother, husband, or a wife, this is mental exercise. We mentally see it first. Mental exercise, we see ourselves as we can become in our family, in our home, in our financial, and our career. Don't worry about how you're going to achieve it. Just see yourself as a certain way. What kind of a person do you want to become in your financial and career? Describe it. Visualize it. In your fitness and health, what do you want to be? This is mental fitness, very important. What do you want to be? Describe the person you want to become. Cut out a picture of when you felt better about yourself. But learn to appreciate and enjoy where you are right now. That's a part of the mental fitness aspect too, that moves us in a positive direction rather than fighting against a negative one. Okay? So you're seeing yourself as you can be in your social and cultural areas of your life, how you deal with other people, and your spiritual and ethical. That's huge. In your spiritual and ethical area, how do you see yourself? What's important to you? What connection are you making on a daily basis to strengthen that mental fitness that's going to help you achieve that greater health potential, physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally? And in your mental and educational area of your life, what are you pursuing? What do you want to learn about? Visualize it. Visualize yourself doing it. It's this mental exercise. When we do physical fitness, we don't start off again lifting 300 pounds. We start off with small weights, and then we get bigger weights, and we get bigger weights. But we don't come and tackle a 300-pound bar initially. It's too much, and most people would get discouraged. So we start with smaller steps. We're going to bring all of this home in a moment. When we're able to do that, we become a person of vision. take the time to define the person you want to become, not just the person you are today. You define the person you are today, you reinforce that, that's the person you're going to be next year and the year after that. But when you want to define yourself, take that time. It takes some time. But you're the programmer. Don't let somebody else or outside influences be that. When you take the time to define yourself, you become a person of vision. Now, as you hold on, first step of faith, the ability to see things not as they are, but as they can become. Very important. This is an element that's missing in our physical fitness today. You become a person of vision, hold on to the vision. It grows into a desire. Nurture the desire. That's the exercise of faith, if you will. Nurture the desire with prayer, meditation, affirmation, proclamation, declaration. The desire becomes a passion. The passion compels us to action. The action creates the end result. But where did it all begin? It begins with the vision. Ideas do affect the way we think. The way we think does affect the way we act. The way we act, to a large degree, is going to determine our results. If we want to take charge of our results, let's take charge of the ideas that we're allowing ourselves to be exposed to on a day-to-day basis. Because if we don't, then by default, old patterns, old outside influences take charge of us. And most people, as a result of that, live in a reactive mode. They're constantly allowing the conditions around them to far too often govern the conditions within them. It's not that the conditions around us are ever going to change. That's not as important. The conditions within us start to change. That's what empowers us, so we don't allow the conditions around us to govern the conditions within us. So when I say that we live in a reactive world today, and people get caught up in the division and the contention, it's designed to separate us. It's designed to keep us from being able to reach our greater potential. I think, and this is one on me, okay? We've got bungee cord units. We've got the Cellerciser. I believe the Cellerciser is a better unit personally. But that's an issue. And that creates contention with my other brothers and sisters that think the bungee cord unit is a better unit. How is that helping to unify us? It isn't. It's taking us further away from each other. The common objective we have, all of us, that is in supporting each other to reach our greater health potential, health and fitness. And if you're using a bungee cord unit to do that, all the best for you. I mean, really, that's great. If you're using a Cellerciser, that's great. But I would prefer to be known as a peacemaker, as somebody who's saying, hey, let's look for the good in what we're trying to accomplish. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be, because that's who I am. And for me to deny that is going to, that's not me. It's not the person I want to be. I want to be the person that helps promote that which we have in common, that unifies us, not that which divides us. That's what's happening in the world today. Division, contention, separation, we don't need it. This represents my success journal. This is something I put together many years ago, and it set the foundation for the person that I wanted to become. And it has a lot to do with what I've had to go through to persevere and help promote the whole Cellercise industry and the mini trampoline industry in general. They start off with inspirational quotes, and I've saved a lot of these. You can know more about me through this book than anything else. And I'm going to share some of it with you so you get the ideas. But inspirational quotes, I pulled this out. It says, the power of positive thinking is remarkable. When you think of something that brings you joy, your brain actually releases endorphins. You want to do this on the Cellerciser because the brain is up to 90% of the brain is being stimulated as we're moving up and down and doing these movements on the Cellerciser. That can help leave a stronger impression at the bottom of the bounce. These endorphins fill you with the feeling of well-being. Positive thinking helps you frame your mindset and change your life. You notice children, when they're bouncing up and down, they're joyful. It's natural. They don't have to work at it. It's natural. We can get back to that as well if we're not doing it. But when we feel down, it's often difficult to conjure up things that make us happy. That's why having some positive, inspirational quotes on hand can be helpful in situations like that. From short quotes and widely relatable anecdotes to quotes specifically about work and life in general, there's a whole list. Now, I've made a list. And I feed on this. Remember, ideas affect the way we think affects the way we act, the way we act determines our result. I will develop myself to the maximum of my potential in all ways. I will forget the mistakes of the past and press to greater achievements. I will continually work at developing love, happiness, and loyalty in my family. I will look for the good in all people and make them feel worthwhile. If I have nothing good to say about a person, I will say nothing. These things I put together because they meant a lot to me. I will always be enthusiastic about the success of others as I am about my own. I will maintain an attitude of open-mindedness. I will maintain respect for those in authority and demonstrate this respect at all times. I will always remain loyal to my God, my country, family, and my friends. I will remain highly goal-oriented throughout my life because that positive attitude helps my family, my country, and myself. And I've got on family and home, just a whole list, both sides, of things that are important to me in the family and home. And then I've got, as a father, I have poems and letters and things that remind me of how important this is. I have a mission statement, and I took the time to write the mission statement. Many of you can relate to this. I've got my creed. I've got the areas of goals that I want to do in my spiritual, in my family, in my health, my educational, my financial. I've written them down. It's not that I'm going to achieve them all, but I write them down to help my focus. This is mental fitness. This is part of what helps us reach our greater health potential. This is my success journal and what I wrote, what I wanted to do to have it, how I wanted it to work for me so that I could reflect upon it. These are some of the hundreds of statements that I can feed upon. I feel happy, I feel healthy, I feel terrific, I'm calm, organized, and focused. Each day I know exactly what I must accomplish. You can read 4 or 5 of these every day when you're on the Cellerciser or create them. I am determined. I love overcoming challenges. Each day is an adventure for me. I discover myself a little bit more. I'm a man of action. I act upon my plan. Winning is a way of life to me, and I talk with winners. I promote progress and profit with all people I meet. I have supreme confidence in myself and my own abilities. I love to read and study. I meet people easily. I love my family. It goes on and on and on. I've got pages and pages and pages of these things because I know how important the mental fitness part of it is and what Cellercise can do. And I go further in. I talk about things that I've accomplished, success, to laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and affection of children, to earn and appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty. This is Ralph Waldo Emerson. I grabbed it because I like it. And then the one that, Scottish Rite Bulletin. If you think you can, you can. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you'd like to win, but you think you can't, it's almost certain you won't. If you think you're outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win a prize. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger, faster man, but sooner or later, the one who wins is the one who thinks he can. That's part of it. And that's mental fitness. At the timberline, where the storm strikes with the greatest fury, the sturdiest trees are found. What was that? It's been an hour. Thanks, honey. So on a goal, when you set a goal, a mental fitness, you write down the goal. Write down how you're going to benefit from the goal. That's your motivation. That's your desire. Write down the possible obstacles that might get in the way of that goal. Plan ahead of time. Strategies for overcoming the obstacles. Write down the affirmations that are going to help you to achieve those as well. And then collect the things that are important to you in your life. That's going to help you to achieve it. I wrote down Mother Teresa's poem because I love what it says. And people are often unreasonable, irrational, self-centered. Forgive them anyway. You go down, and these are ideas. We feed upon the ideas. The ideas are what collectively help us to become the person we have the ability to be. I want you to achieve your greater physical health and fitness, and that's what this is about, and that's what Cellercise is. But it does go beyond that. And for you to truly be successful, you see yourself not as you are, but as you can become. You hold on to that vision. No one can destroy your faith unless you allow it, and don't. We don't ever have to allow it. Become that dynamic, positive, goal-directed, enthusiastic person that you have the ability to be, and enjoy the journey. Remember, I said this before, you cannot find success at the end of the journey if you're not willing to bring it with you along the way. You cannot find happiness at the end of the journey. You cannot find happiness unless you bring it with you along the way. I want you to be happy, healthy, feel terrific. Go out and vote, make a difference, be a difference, whatever that is. And I hope and pray that we'll all wake up on Wednesday with more unity, at least among us. So thank you. God bless. Call if I can be of any help. And thank you for sharing these messages with those you care about. We'll see you later.